Dog lovers everywhere, this is definitely going to be your cup of tea. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing The Call of the Wild. And yes, I got called to go see this movie. The trailer did not particularly sell me on this movie. While I love Harrison Ford and I love puppies, puppies are my favorite in the whole entire world. I mean, look at these pictures of my puppies that I love spending time with. Trailer didn't sell me at all in this movie, and it kind of just looked like this cheap dog movie to appeal to dog lovers, and it's going to get me emotionally invested because it's a cute puppy, and I'm going to cry by the end because of something tragic that happens. And overall, that's kind of what the movie does. And I love dogs. I love them to pieces. And it kind of was my cup of tea. But it was actually much better than I was expecting it to be. It actually had me to the point of falling in love with the main character of Buck. Of course, though, if you guys are new here, though, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button, where I do tons of early movie reviews like this on a daily basis. And also make sure to comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you not? Let's discuss it down there. Call of the Wild is about Buck, a big-hearted dog whose blissful domestic life gets turned upside down when he is suddenly uprooted from his California home and transplanted to the exotic wilds of the Alaskan Yukon in the 1890s. This is a movie that, again, I wasn't looking forward to, but overall I did have a lot of enjoyment with, because again, I like dogs, and I think if you like dogs, you're also going to enjoy this. I want to get my grievances out of the way first, though, because I do have a lot more pros than cons, and I think the cons might weigh and skew a little bit more for certain people than it would for me. I'm a little bit particular when it comes to CGI, and there are many moments in this movie where the CGI is not the best. But there's also many moments in here where it looks really good. It's a fine balance of finding that, and while it did take me out of the experience multiple times, I was so invested into this adventure that it was hard for me to be like, oh yeah, it's just a CGI dog. And sometimes I did have to remind myself of that, but I was still encaptured into the story enough that it never took me out of it. And that will be different for almost every single person that sees this movie, because it's always different when it comes to CGI and really what the story is telling. The other issue I had with this movie was Dan Stevens' villain character. He's the antagonist of this whole entire movie. And while I love Dan Stevens to death, I saw him show up and I'm like, ah, yes, Dan Stevens. But he just turns into this very over-the-top villain that I felt did not match the tone of this film, and I don't know what exactly he was doing in here. It was so over-the-top that that was the part that actually started taking me out of the film, and I was like, God, just get rid of this character. I really didn't think he was needed at all for the story at hand, and I thought you could have changed it up just a bit. And I know this is based off a novel. I've never read the novel. I'm sure it ends in the same exact way. Of course, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but the way it ends, I was just feeling, okay, I loved it, and I thought you could have gotten there in a different direction. But going and segueing right into my pros, though, that kind of segues into one thing that I loved, is that main synopsis of finding your ultimate true place in the world. And yes, it's kind of weird to see that you're living this through a dog, but Harrison Ford's character as well also symbolizes this and kind of has a nice little parallel with Buck as well. And it's kind of weird to say that, but it actually meaningfully went well inside that genre, where you actually saw the parallels of both of them kind of living and being able to find their true place in the world. While at the same time, I'm kind of sitting there kind of as I'm living my life, trying to find my true place in my world. And I like the message that this movie actually develops throughout the whole entire story. And again, it adds to that whole big adventure. This feels like a movie that would have been made in the late 90s. And I mean that as very much a big pro. I thought this kind of threw it back to the Homeward Bound days, and maybe that wasn't your cup of tea, but growing up I really liked that movie. And The Call of the Wild really is this big, wild adventure that feels like something that's out of a Disneyland ride. There are times where it's very thrilling. There are times when you're on the edge of your seat, and there's other times that are gentle and tender, and you're just sitting there very much enjoying the story. It does help that there is an adorable dog in here named Buck, who has the charming qualities of any puppy you would ever sincerely want. And again, the CGI might get in the way of other people. At times it did pull me out, but once I got sucked into the story, it was hard for me not to be pulled right back out. I had tears in my eyes at times. I laughed, I smiled, and in general, just for dog lovers itself, it was hard for me to not get engrossed into this movie. Also, to even talk about, Harrison Ford's actually pretty good in here. I sometimes I give him a little bit of grievances. I don't think he's really turned in a great performance in quite a while. Probably say Force Awakens or even Blade Runner 2049, but the guy gives it, and you can tell that he's having a blast on set and really brings the charm that we know Harrison Ford to have. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on Call of the Wild, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button, because do it for the puppies, guys. Do it for the puppies. Hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you guys have a dog? Do you guys love dogs? Let's discuss it down there as well, what you guys are thinking about this movie. Of course, also head over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. And of course, just a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. Call of the Wild is a riveting, while at the same time fun adventure movie that kind of throws back to something that would have came out in the late 90s, but I take that as a big compliment because I think we need more films like that. I think this is a nice film that families will be able to enjoy. It's not too scary, it's not too thrilling, but it's just enough to get the family going, and it also has a great little protagonist within Buck, and I say little, but he's not really all that little. He's a pretty big dog, but he's adorable and he's charming, and there's so many laughs throughout here. And Harrison Ford again brings that charm as well that we haven't seen in a while from the guy. Maybe Dan Stevens, yeah, he might have taken me out a little bit as the antagonist, maybe a little bit too over the top, and even the film CGI at times could have been tinkered up just a bit, especially when it came to Buck the dog. I wouldn't say it's horrible. At times it's a little bit bad, and at times it's actually pretty good. But that will differ to whoever sees the movie, but really the big showcase of this movie is this riveting adventure, and really the story of it, you finding your true place in this world. And I think that's something that we're all going through in our lives. So with all that said, I'm going to give the Call of the Wild a B. You know what your guys' thoughts are on the Call of the Wild. Are you guys excited for this one? Are you not? Let's discuss it down there, guys. Thank you guys again so much for watching this, and of course, until next time, stay classy.